Welcome to tomorrow's lessons today. Solving past papers, first language English, Cambridge IGCSE examination preparation. This tutorial provides step-by-step guidance on directed writing with a particular focus on argumentative speech writing. Please watch the video in its entirety without skipping any sections to gain a comprehensive understanding of the techniques and strategies discussed. If you find this tutorial helpful, please remember to subscribe to the channel, like the video, share it with others, leave a comment. Also, click the notification bell to be informed whenever a new video is released. Thank you for your support, and we hope this tutorial helps you achieve success in your Cambridge IGCSE First Language English examinations. In Paper 2, Question 1b, you are required to write an argumentative speech intended for a radio audience. Breaking down the writing prompt carefully will help you approach the task with greater confidence and clarity. Before you begin writing, identify the key requirements of the question. Carefully identify the style or form required. In this case, you are writing a speech. Use the details provided in the passage while also considering the writer's overall attitude towards the topic. Develop and contextualize ideas from the passage by drawing reasonable inferences, but avoid introducing ideas that go beyond the text. Select and use relevant evidence and ideas from the passage. Express all ideas entirely in your own words. Consider the following elements of verb. Voice. Since you are writing a speech, use the first person point of view where appropriate. Audience, you are addressing radio listeners. Register, maintain a convincing, authoritative, and engaging tone throughout. Your language should be formal, persuasive, and fluent, supported by sophisticated vocabulary where appropriate. Purpose: identify, analyze, and evaluate the broadcaster's arguments rather than merely summarizing them. Pay close attention to the following assessment requirements. Stay within the prescribed word limit of 250 to 350 words. Maintain an analytical, respectful, and reasoned tone throughout to demonstrate a balanced and thoughtful response. Remember that the genre is argumentative writing. Challenge weaker arguments while acknowledging stronger and more convincing points. You will be awarded 10 marks for reading, using, and developing ideas from the text, and 15 marks for writing, style, structure, organization, and accuracy. Before writing, decide on your position. Do you agree or disagree with the broadcaster? Clearly establish your viewpoint from the outset. Include well-developed counter-arguments that address opposing perspectives. Explain why you agree or disagree with the broadcaster's views. This forms your thesis statement and should guide the direction of your speech. To strengthen your argument, incorporate rhetorical appeals. Ethos: appeal to credibility, demonstrate knowledge, expertise, and reliability to build trust with your audience. Pathos: appeal to emotion, create an emotional connection by appealing to the audience's feelings, values, and experiences. Logos: appeal to reason, support your argument with the logical reasoning, facts, examples, and evidence. Kairos: appeal to timeliness, highlight why the issue is relevant, urgent, or important at present moment. By combining strong textual analysis, a clear argument, effective evaluation, and persuasive rhetorical techniques, you can produce a thoughtful and convincing response that fulfills the requirements of the task and maximizes your marks. The reading assessment objectives assess candidates' ability to understand both explicit and implicit meanings within a text, select, interpret, and evaluate relevant information and ideas, develop ideas using appropriate textual support, use information purposefully and effectively to address the requirements of the task. The writing assessment objectives assess candidates' ability to articulate ideas clearly and effectively, organize and structure ideas logically and coherently, use vocabulary, sentence structures, and language features appropriately, adapt their writing to suit a specific purpose, audience, and form, demonstrate accuracy in spelling, punctuation, and grammar. Your response should include the following elements. Begin with an appropriate salutation that addresses the audience and expresses appreciation for their attention or presence. Provide an introduction that establishes the context of the issue, states the purpose of the speech, introduces the topic under discussion, presents a clear thesis statement, identifies both the claim and the counterclaim that will be explored. Develop a paragraph that supports your chosen position and addresses the author's viewpoint. Include 7 to 8 well-developed supporting arguments. Use evidence and ideas from the source text. Introduce points using appropriate transitional phrases to signal agreement and progression. Develop a paragraph that acknowledges and evaluates the opposing viewpoint. Include 7 to 8 reasoned rebuttals or counter-arguments. Challenge weaknesses in the opposing position while maintaining a respectful and balanced tone. Use appropriate transitional phrases to signal disagreement or contrast. Conclude by weighing the strengths and weaknesses of both the viewpoints, reinforcing your overall position, providing a clear recommendation by including a persuasive call to action that relates directly to the context of the speech. End the speech with an appropriate closing statement and a final expression of gratitude. Read the text carefully. As you read, annotate and the relevant ideas that support both the claim and the counterclaim. Identify evidence, examples, and viewpoints that can be used to strengthen each side of the argument. When annotating the text, highlight information that supports the broadcaster's viewpoint, claim. Identify evidence that challenges or contradicts the broadcaster's viewpoints, counterclaim. Most importantly, demonstrate a clear understanding of both explicit meanings, ideas, and information that are directly stated in the text, implicit meanings, ideas, attitudes, and messages that are suggested or implied rather than directly stated. Your annotations should help you evaluate the arguments presented and provide a balanced, well-supported response in your speech. Using the information provided in the text, identify relevant details and develop them into well-reasoned supporting arguments for your chosen position. Detail 1 can be developed into the first supporting argument for the claim that you agree with the broadcaster's views. A common mistake candidates make is copying the phrases directly from the source text. Examiners consistently note that excessive lifting limits achievement because it demonstrates little independent understanding or interpretation of the material. Instead, you should express the ideas in your own words and explain their significance. For example, if the text states that animals have always faced extinction, this could be developed into the argument that extinction is an inevitable part of the natural world and that occurred throughout history regardless of human intervention. Detail 2 can be developed into the second supporting argument of your claim. Consider what the detail suggests beyond its literal meaning and explain how it strengthens your position. Focus on interpreting the idea rather than simply repeating the wording used in the text. Detail 3 can be developed into third supporting argument for your claim. Use evidence from the passage as a starting point, then expand upon it by explaining its implications, significance, and relevance to the broadcaster's argument. When developing supporting arguments, use the source material selectively and purposefully. Demonstrate understanding through paraphrasing rather than copying. Identify both explicit and implicit meanings. Draw reasonable inferences from the text. Explain how each detail supports your overall argument. Develop ideas rather than listing them. Maintain a clear connection between the evidence and your viewpoint. Strong responses move beyond simply identifying details. They interpret, evaluate, and develop them into convincing arguments that demonstrate genuine understanding of the text. Continue to reread the text carefully and annotate relevant details that support your chosen position. As you identify evidence, focus on developing each detail into a clear and persuasive supporting argument rather than simply copying information from the passage. Detail 4 can be developed into the fourth supporting argument for your claim. Consider what the detail reveals about the broadcaster's viewpoint and how it strengthens the overall argument. Explain its significance in your own words and link it directly to your position. Detail 5 can be developed into fifth supporting argument for your claim. Look beyond the surface meaning and explore any implications or assumptions suggested by the detail. Explain how it contributes to the effectiveness of the broadcaster's argument. Details 6 and 7 can be combined and developed into sixth supporting argument for your claim. Where two details convey similar ideas or support the same viewpoint, it is often effective to synthesize them into a single, well-developed argument. This allows you to demonstrate a deeper understanding of the text and avoid repeating similar points. Continue to reread the text carefully and annotate the remaining relevant details that support your chosen position. At this stage, you should be focusing on identifying evidence that strengthens and completes your overall argument. Detail 8 can be developed into the seventh supporting argument for your claim. Consider how this evidence reinforces the broadcaster's viewpoint. Think carefully about both the explicit information provided and any implicit messages or assumptions suggested by the detail. Detail 9 can be developed into the eighth supporting argument for your claim. Analyze the significance of the detail rather than simply restating it, considering why the writer includes this information and how it contributes to the broadcaster's overall argument. Your claim paragraph should present a clear and convincing argument in support of your chosen position. The paragraph should be logically organized, fully developed, and supported by evidence and ideas drawn from the source text. The response should include the following: topic sentence that introduces the claim and signals your agreement with the broadcaster's viewpoint. Developed supporting arguments presented using a range of appropriate transitions to ensure coherence and progression throughout the paragraph. Avoid presenting your supporting arguments as a list of disconnected points. Instead, ensure that each idea builds upon the previous one, creating a logical and persuasive line of reasoning. Strong responses integrate evidence, explanation, and evaluation seamlessly, demonstrating both a thorough understanding of the text and convincing personal stance. Reread the text carefully and annotate the relevant details that support the counterclaim. These are the points that challenge the broadcaster's viewpoint and support the position with which you disagree. Detail 1 can be developed into the first opposing argument supporting the counterclaim that you do not agree with the broadcaster's views. Consider what the details suggest about the alternative perspective. Think about how the evidence could be interpreted to challenge the broadcaster's argument and support an opposing viewpoint. Detail 2 can be developed into the second opposing argument supporting the counterclaim. Look beyond the literal meaning of the detail and consider the broader implications it may have. Explain how the evidence can be used to question, challenge, or weaken the broadcaster's position. Continue to reread the text carefully and identify the relevant details that support the counterclaim. Detail 3 can be developed into the third opposing argument supporting the counterclaim. Consider how this evidence presents an alternative perspective or highlights a weakness in the broadcaster's reasoning. Detail 4 can be developed into the fourth opposing argument supporting the counterclaim. Analyze the significance of the detail and consider how it may challenge one of the broadcaster's assumptions or conclusions. Detail 5 can be developed into the fifth opposing argument supporting the counterclaim. Think carefully about the writer's message and the broader implications of the evidence presented. Continue to reread the text carefully and identify the remaining relevant details that support the counterclaim. Detail 6 can be developed into the sixth opposing argument supporting the counterclaim. Consider how this evidence challenges the broadcaster's position or presents an alternative perspective. Detail 7 can be developed into the seventh opposing argument supporting the counterclaim. Analyze how the detail may reveal a limitation, weakness, or oversight in the broadcaster's argument. Detail 8 can be developed into the eighth opposing argument supporting the counterclaim. Think carefully about why the writer included this information and what message it conveys. Your counterclaim paragraph should present a clear and well-developed alternative viewpoint that challenges the broadcaster's position. The paragraph should demonstrate balanced evaluation, critical thinking, and a thorough understanding of the source material. Your response should include the following: topic sentence that introduces the counterclaim and signals an alternative perspective to the broadcaster's argument. Developed opposing arguments presented using appropriate transitions to create a logical and coherent flow of ideas. Avoid treating the counterclaim as a simple list of opposing points. Instead, ensure that each argument builds upon the previous one to create a coherent line of reasoning. A strong counterclaim paragraph acknowledges complexity, evaluates alternative viewpoints, and demonstrates why these perspectives deserve consideration. A final response should read as a coherent speech rather than a series of separate points. Ensure that ideas flow logically from one sentence to the next. Transitions are used effectively and arguments are developed through explanation and evaluation. The most successful responses combine strong textual understanding with a persuasive and sophisticated writing. Evaluators use the following criteria to award a mark out of 10 for reading based on the quality of content included in the response. Evaluators use the following criteria to award a mark out of 25 for writing based on the overall quality of candidates' writing. That brings us to the end of today's lesson. Thank you for learning tomorrow's lessons today. If you have not yet watched my previous videos on persuasive magazine article, discursive letter, persuasive letter, journal entry, I encourage you to do so in order to develop a comprehensive understanding of Cambridge IGCSE writing styles and examination techniques. If you found this lesson helpful, please remember to subscribe to the channel, like the video, share it with others, leave a comment. Also, click the notification bell to be informed whenever a new video is released. Thank you for your continued support. Keep practicing, keep improving, and most importantly, keep learning. Until next time, take care and happy learning.